Hello and welcome everybody, my name is Chris and today I'm finally going to talk about the Ibanez RGDMS8-CSM. Enjoy! Two minor disclaimers before we start. First of all, this is not a sponsored review. I bought the guitar pretty much 1.5 years ago for a project that unfortunately never really took off. But since I shot so many videos with it and so many demonstrations and still record with it quite a lot, I thought, yeah, maybe it is time to do a proper review with it. It's just a special guitar, right? And secondly, my reviews are a bit more about the feel of things. I will put up all the technical details and specs for the guitar, but yeah, most of what I'll be talking about will be how does it feel, what does it make me want to play, and all that artsy-fartsy stuff. Now, before we get into the actual review, I would like to share with you my history with Ibanez guitars, or rather Ibanez extended range guitars, because the only 7-string I own is the Ibanez Invisible Shadow, the old Prestige model. I hope you can see this. It's so dark. There it is. And everybody knows that Ibanez naming conventions are a bit weird, so I have to look up what the exact model name is. It's the Ibanez Prestige RGD212-7Z Invisible Shadow. Now, this guitar was made in 2012 in Japan, and I did get it in 2012, so pretty much straight, fresh out of the factory. Came with a hard case, and for at least 5 years, this was my main everything guitar. Gigging, practicing, touring, writing, recording, everything. I don't think there was a day where I didn't pick this guitar up. And as you can see, it is so busted at certain parts, and it has so much road wear, and it really has lived. There's cigarette burns and beer stains, and the edge tremolo loses its color and all that. There's wood chipped out and additional holes and all that stuff. So yeah, I would say this guitar has lived, and if you run your thumb across here, you actually notice where I used to wear rings on my thumb, and where the wood is a bit like, yeah, not very smooth anymore. And it's wonderful. So this guitar has some history, and has seen a lot of rehearsal spaces and stages, and it works still great. It's a wonderful instrument. And when then the whole 8-string hype started with Periphery, Animals as Leaders, and of course Meshuggah, my first impulse was to, yeah, I'll stick to Ibanez because this is great. So obviously the RG8s will also be great. At that time, I didn't really have the funds to buy the higher tier RG8, so I went for the base model, the regular model, and I think back then it cost about $550, and for that price it was good. It actually felt pretty similar to this. Like, of course you would feel certain differences, like even though this neck looks unfinished, there's actually like the thinnest layer of lacquer on here, which still makes it very smooth to play, not sticky at all, and just gave it this, although it is unfinished, quote unquote, it still gave it a bit of a quality improvement, and it made it more easy to play. And the RG8 unfortunately didn't have that. It felt very dry, but nonetheless, the overall feeling was very, very similar. And not only did I use the RG8 for, of course, 8-string riffs and all that, but because it felt so similar to this one, it was pretty much my backup for whenever I was playing shows where I needed a 7-string. I would just ignore the 8th string, and that's that. And I did shoot one of my demonstration videos for the RG8, so if you want to check that out, I will make the info box appear right now. But yeah, just after a couple of years, I just kind of fell out of love with it and finally decided to let it go and to sell it, which is not easy, as many of you will probably know. It's not easy to let a guitar go, especially one that you took with you to shows and that did travel with you. So when then the opportunity arose to start a new project with musicians I hadn't played before, and we kind of thought about including lower range or lower register guitar stuff, I was like, maybe I should give the whole 8-string concept another go. Hence my return to 8 strings with this one. And this is where the actual review starts now. So yeah, thanks for sticking with me. So RGDMS8-CSM, what does that stand for? RGD is just the body shape. It's a development of the old RG shape that everybody loves and Ibanez is known for, which looks great as well. But I do think I like the RGD shape a bit better. MS stands for multiscale, as you can see. Crooked frets, I will talk about that later. The 8, of course, it has 8 strings. And CSM is the color. It's classic silver matte. The guitar comes with Fishman Fluence Moderns, and these are actually the 9-string versions. Due to the multiscale and the alignments of the pickups, they need to cover a bit more space, and hence the 9-string versions. I will talk about the different voices and other functions of the pickups in a minute. If you want to skip to that part, feel free to use the timeline. So out of the box, the guitar came in terms of build quality in a perfect condition. No sharp edges or anything, the pot runs smooth, the switches are very satisfying, so it's all good. But there's this weird thing going on, and if you've seen my other guitar reviews, I'm very artsy-fartsy about this, but I want to paint a picture for you that hopefully translates to you what I'm feeling and it makes you decide if you want to purchase a similar guitar or that guitar. But there's something going on with this guitar that makes it feel very sterile and almost robotic or clinical. It reminds me more of a, that must sound super weird, but it reminds me more of a hospital or spaceship. It makes me want to write and play very calculated music and riffs, and of course if you're a blues or jazz rock guy, you wouldn't purchase this guitar to play pentatonic licks, but rather to shred on it or play gent or I don't know, all these prog riffs and all that stuff. And for that it's great, but yeah, it makes me feel very clinical and very calculating. I hope this does make sense for for at least one person out there. But yeah, it's not the guitar I pick up for if I just want to feel good about playing guitar and want to, I don't know, just play soft, cool sounding licks or whatever. This is something I pick up for, okay, I'm gonna need some tight ass down-tuned shit right now, and it needs to be super on point. The Fishman Fluence pickups, or the Fishman Fluence Modern pickups, were something I never tried before owning this guitar. And in fact, this comes with 2 different ones, so I have to look this up, I'm sorry. But the neck pickup is the Alnico one, and the bridge pickup is the ceramic one. And like I said earlier, these are the 9-string versions. And I was, very excited about trying them out. Usually, I'm an EMG kind of guy. In my Alexi 600 guitar, there is a Seymour Duncan Blackout. So yeah, these were a very new experience for me. A very unfortunate thing during the maybe first 3 weeks after I got this guitar was actually that the voice 1 of the pickups, which I think is supposed to be the active setting, actually made crackling sounds and had sound drops, which then just went away. And I've of course tried different batteries and checked all my cables, all that usual troubleshooting stuff, but yeah, the pickups just had this kind of fault going on that all of a sudden went away. And for like during these 3 weeks, I was pretty much, that didn't really motivate to record with the guitar, but still, yeah, something I wanted to share with you. Like I said, it's all good. It hasn't been that case in almost 1.5 years, but for the first 3 weeks, it was just weird. As with all Fishman pickups, these come with a variety of settings, so you pretty much have the humbucker setting, the single coil setting, voice 1, voice 2, and then of course the different positions of your switch. So there's like loads of tonal variety you can get out of these, which is pretty dang cool. Now let's talk about the multiscale part of the guitar, the fan frets. So in general, in very broad strokes, the multiscale just helps you to get proper tension across all strings, across the entire guitar neck. With the bass, you usually have a very long neck that is there to support the tension of a thick string. And the same concept goes for the low strings here, but you don't need that kind of tension for the lighter upper strings, hence the different scalings. Before I bought the guitar, I never actually got to test out fan frets, and I was a bit worried that they would feel so unique or so different to what I'm usually playing that it would take me a long time to get used to them. But honestly, it was quick like this, and I could start playing immediately. Like there wasn't an adjustment period, and maybe this depends on whether like the multiscale is more has a more extreme setup. I don't know, but yeah, it's not something that I think about when I pick up this guitar. Like the only place of the fretboard that actually makes me feel like this feels a bit different is up here, and as you can see on the camera, yeah, in relation to where my fingers are, the frets are seem a bit weird now, but down here where they seem to be more straight, it's super chill, and it's just feels like any other guitar. That being said, a multiscale, I thought about getting a 6-string once, which, I mean, 6 strings is the number of strings that I'm most comfortable with. And I thought about getting a 6-string guitar in the future with fan frets, but it's honestly not a feature that makes me want to buy a guitar. Like it's something, if it's on there, cool, all right. I don't seem to think about it too much, but yeah, it's not a unique selling point that makes me want to purchase, and that makes me want to spend more money on an instrument that has that feature. Now, even if the multiscale doesn't bother you, the neck width is still something that needs to be considered. And if you've never played an extended range guitar, or maybe even if you had a 7-string but never tried an 8-string, switching over to an 8-string does feel a lot different. With the picking hand as well. Like for some weird reason with this guitar, and that wasn't the case with the RG8, is whenever I'm picking, like my middle finger, my ring finger, and my pinky are stretched out. And for some weird reason with this guitar, like part of my ring finger seems to grace the G string, the open one, especially when I'm riffing down here, which, when it then rings into something like staccato or muted, genty riffs, that sounds just dirty and wrong and not really good. So I have to actually adjust my picking hand and move my fingers inwards, and playing like this is usually something I never do. It just feels so wrong, but I have to adjust to compensate for just how this instrument works and how it is built. So something very important to keep in mind, I would say. Fret axis is pretty much perfect on this guitar. As you can see, I have no issue whatsoever reaching the 24th fret with whatever finger. It's great, and a very typical Ibanez thing, I'd say. And by the way, this is a bolt-on neck guitar, and I'm not really I have nothing against bolt-on necks, but I usually prefer neck throughs. But with this kind of concept or system that they have here, it is so easy to play comfortably down here. Like your thumb actually goes with you down to the 19th fret, and it then just pretty much reaches the body of the guitar and can't go any further. And that's amazing. So very easy, even with the thumb stuck at the 19th fret, to reach the 24th with my middle finger. As you can see, the neck does not have any finish on here. It is a typical Wizard neck from Ibanez, which are super flat, very thin, like very fast, and I'd say you either love or hate them. I used to love them, but over the years, like for me, these days they're almost too flat. I don't know, especially in the upper registers, I feel that it feels a bit weird for my hand. So if you get one of these, be prepared to to have a very flat neck. And overall, like everything about the fretboard and the neck, and I don't know, it just has a bit of a dry feel. But yeah, overall, I would say this is something that harks back to the whole clinical and very sterile feeling of the guitar. It just doesn't. It just doesn't feel. It feels comfortable, but it doesn't feel cozy. So yeah, a weird word, or rather adjective for a guitar like this, but I kind of like it when my guitars have a bit of a cozy, homey feel to them. So my final thoughts for the Ibanez RGDMS8-CSM. If you're a lover of Ibanez guitars, and especially extended range Ibanez guitars, this is pretty much a no-brainer for you, and you already know what this plays like. Like, if you've ever owned an extended range Ibanez, you know 100% how this plays, and there are no surprises. A wizard neck will always be a wizard neck, and if you enjoy a wizard neck, you will love this. Typical for Ibanez, the accessibility, like the playability, it's all there, and it's all great. But for me personally, there is this weird, like I said earlier, this weird roboticness, and it's very it's sterile and clinical. It has become pretty much just a recording guitar because it's very flexible, and extended range guitars have become a thing of the past in general right now. I have a feeling, like, if you think 10 to 12 years back, how many 8-string and even 9-string guitars were released every year, and yet right now it's baritone guitars, a type of guitar I actually never played before. I really have to get my hands on one in the near future to test that out. But yeah, even for me, this instrument has pretty much become more of a gimmicky recording guitar. I don't use this to play out. For most of the session stuff that I do, this doesn't fit this style. This would even look weird on stage. It has a very, with a periphery tribute band or whatever, this would be perfect. But yeah, I don't know. This is pretty much an edge case of a guitar, I would say. And I don't know how often I will actually use it in the future for anything other than demonstrations or maybe a commission of sorts or something. And it feels great. Like I said, Ibanez guitars have a very certain feel to it, and they are loved all over the world for a reason. So would I buy this again? I'd say no. I actually would go again for maybe a 7-string or maybe a 6-string Ibanez. My old Prestige that I showed you earlier, I still love that guitar, and there's something inspiring about it, and I like it way more. I just used it the other day again to play a show, and after a long time not playing it on stage, it felt a bit like coming home. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, in general, my extended range kind of music era has definitely come to an end, and it seems to have come to an end for a lot of people. Everybody who wants to play drop-tuned or low-tuned stuff now uses baritones. And I mean, that's just how it works, right? All these things come and go in circles, and we'll see when the next wave of 8-string instruments will be released. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed my review of the Ibanez RGDMS8-CSM. If you want to see more reviews, feel free to check out the channel. I uploaded other videos about ESPs and LTDs, about the EVH5150 Stealth there in the background. Super thankful for every comment and every view, and would love to see you again in the next video. And with that being said, I've been Chris, and